huge honor today to be interviewing an idol and a role model of mine, Emily Letran. Emily, you are just have the most amazing story. Your whole life story is just amazing. You came to U.S. as a refugee from Vietnam when you were 13 years old. No English learned. You learned a little bit in a refugee camp. You finished undergrad at UC Riverside in 3 years. You went on to get 2 degrees, a DDS, a dental degree, and an MS, Master's in Science and Oral Biology. Currently, you have two multi-specialty group practices in Southern California with a mix of HMO, PPO, DentiCal, cash. You're the author of the book. That's why I called you, your book.
Right.
I called you. You did not call me. Author From Refugee to Renaissance Woman. And you have some upcoming books. Commit, Embracing Your Big Life, Celebrating the Entrepreneur's Family, Business, Passion, and Fun, with a foreword by Sharon Lechter. That's very impressive. And Sharon is in Phoenix, isn't she?
Yes, she's in Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm trying to meet her and see if she'd do a podcast. How to Train Your Patients, a comical ebook to remind professionals they have to train themselves and their team first before asking their patients, clients to do what they want. You're just an amazing, amazing woman. What a wild story. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing great. So tell us about your book, From Refugee to Renaissance Woman. When did that come out?
Well, that book came out toward the end of last year, and I was inspired in a group mastermind to tell my story. I told my story from when I was in Vietnam. I lost my mom at the age of 8 to cancer, and then the communists took over in the country. So 6 years 6 years later, we left the country. I left with my aunt and my brother and a couple of cousins. We came to the Malaysian refugee camp, and then from there we were blessed to come to the U.S. And I first came to Louisiana. I was there for 6 months in New Orleans, not in New Orleans, but in Harvey, which is a suburb. And then we moved to California, and I've been in California ever since. And I went through, a lot of challenges like any refugee or immigrant would go through. Financial challenges. The family couldn't really support that much because I'm supposed to be the best one in the family, to go to professional school. And then I finished professional school, and I'm lucky to have two thriving practices. And I really think I listen to the right people, somebody like you, and hang out with the right people to learn more and to excel.
It's funny how when so many people get the smallest of challenges, they just stop. And they always have an
Yes.
excuse. And I'll say, well, did you do that? Well, I did this and this happened and this is why I no longer. And then there's other people like you who just have enormous challenges. And you just climb every mountain they put in front of you. I just think that is just mind boggling.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think there are a lot of, our professionals, dental professionals, who also overcome challenges. We may or may not know their story. I would just blessed to, people inspire me to write that story, and that's why I want to share. And at the end of the book, I say, I'm writing this story, hoping that you will share your story to the world, because sometimes we live our story and we don't realize that our story can inspire a lot of other people who may be stuck in a position, or they may be going through some challenges. And if they see that somebody like me can do it, then they certainly can try and do it. There's just certain strategies that you work through to get to where you want.
And what is your lifelong strategy?
My lifelong strategy, my goal is to become a world famous philanthropist. I want to live my life to a life of appreciation and gratitude, because along the way a lot of people helped me, from my first ESL teacher to whoever lent me money in dental school to fix my car, to the bank that lent me the money to buy my practice when I have no experience, 2-3 years as an associate. So I want to give back, and a lot of the goals in the life has to do with charity, So I started a foundation, and that one will, part of it will be to raise funds to have mobile dentistry, to serve specifically senior centers or outreach communities. Where I practice, there are quite a few seniors. Sometimes they don't have the means to come to the office. They take a Dow ride. It takes them 45 minutes to get to my office, do an adjustment for 15 minutes, and then they have to wait and catch another ride 45 minutes. Those are things that I see in my practice. I feel there is a need, so I want to fill in that gap. And above and beyond that, I also see kids coming from underprivileged background. I like to use the foundation to fund dental treatment for children who may not be able to afford it. So those are part of the goals in life.
And what is the website for your foundation?
We actually are working on that. I barely got approved for the tax exempt status.
501c?
Yeah, 501c3 last month. So we're working on that webpage, and I'm very, very excited about that.
Well, when that gets done, whatever you need me or Dentaltown website or magazine or whatever to do, you just let me know.
Oh, thank you so much.
I think so you have two websites. What is the difference between www.cosmeticdentistmonrovia and versus my El Monte Dentist?
Oh, those are my office websites?
So what is my El Monte? So El Monte's a city, and then
Yes,
Monrovia.
Yes.
So you have two offices. One's in Monrovia, California, and one is in El Monte, California.
Yes, there are two offices.
And what city is that near? When you grow up in Kansas and you learn geography,
Okay.
California only has three cities: San Diego, LA, and San Fran. And then the rest of your life, you never meet anyone from those three cities.
Okay. Well, I guess the closest you would call would be to LA.
Okay, so it's LA.
So I'm actually close to Pasadena.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm about 45 minutes east of LA.
45 minutes east of LA. Okay.
Yes.
Is that near Redlands?
No, to go to Redlands, it would take another 90 minutes going east.
And what's the dental school in Redlands? Loma Linda.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it's in Loma Linda, not in Redlands.
Not to get too off topic, but did you have you been reading that wildly successful book, the Blue Zones, about how there's 9 cities on Earth where they have 10 times as many people living to be 100, and the only one in North America is Loma Linda, where I took my dental school boards because they're a specific religion. They were what religion?
Seventh-day Adventists.
Seventh-day Adventists. So they basically have a plant-based diet.
Yes.
And they a lot of beans.
Right.
And anyway, this science book, they've really been focusing on this. How they really think there's something going on in their diet. There's another. I think there's 2 cities in Japan and a couple in South America, but. It's amazing how a plant-based, bean-based diet is a game changer. And what was also interesting, they don't exercise, but they have a lifestyle where they're always moving. They're not sedentary. But these go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the Seventh-day Adventist is also like a no medication, no drug kind of practice. Yes. So I believe because I got accepted to Loma Linda University, but I didn't go. Because I also got into UCLA, so I decided to go to UCLA. But they, from what I understand, they don't even have coffee or Coke there because caffeine is a drug. So they don't have it at the dental school.
Now, Mormons don't use caffeine either, correct?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Mormons don't.
Mormons.
Yeah, because Gordon Christian is a Mormon, and when you go to his courses, for years he didn't serve coffee, and I just thought it was just comical because it was the only dental meeting on earth that didn't have coffee out there in the front, and he stuck to his guns, and I love him for that. So what did you want to talk about today? What's RE for dental practice? Invest in your practice gives the best return on investment. What's RE for dental practice?
Real estate.
Oh, real estate. Okay.
Yes.
My walnut brain did not pick up on that. So what do you think about real estate for dental practice?
Well, I think it's very, very important to invest in the real estate for your dental practice. And I'm sure I hear about that years ago from you and from Dr. Woody Oakes back when I bought your DVD set for the 30-day MBA.
Oh, don't say that, or you're going to give away your age. Everybody's looking at you thinking you're 28 or 29, but when you say that, now you just put yourself into your 40s.
But that's when I first learned. It's a good idea to have the real estate so you don't have to keep paying rent, because rent you're just basically giving money away. So I bought my first practice in 1997, and in 1999 I bought my second one, and it was because it has a building. It was a single standing building, and you then whatever money you invest in, it basically is for your own building, whether you're fixing the roof or you're upgrading the building. So I've throughout the years I've owned three buildings, three right now just two, and it housed my dental practice, and so the rent from the building goes into the LLC that owns the real estate, and then the LLC make the mortgage payment. So the same amount of money serves two purposes. And I can also do what I like to do with the building, whether I want to plant something, I want to trim something, I want to put a bigger sign. I have the control of all that. And I think that gives the dentist the freedom to be themselves rather than being in a suite in a professional building. Or sometimes you may be in a strip mall, but all the signs are supposed to look the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, 80% of American millionaires, 80%, 8 out of 10 millionaires in the United States made their money in real estate. And then Forbes, in fact, of the Forbes 400 richest people in America, 273 out of 400 made it in real estate. And I got that lesson actually from Sam Walton at Walmart, where he had leased his first location, and then his landlord messed around with him on the renewing the lease, that he wouldn't renew it, and Sam almost went bankrupt at Walmart because his first building was a lease. And Sam, in his book Made in the USA, went into long details about how you have to have control. The other thing I like about the real estate is people always think the real estate is their stocks and their 401k and all. You got to have a diversified portfolio and to have all your money in stocks and bonds, and not something. I just and then these people who like gold. A lot of these crazy people like gold because they think gold is real and paper is fake. Well, Warren Buffett said that all the gold in the world would be about the cubic size of a cubic football field, and it's totally useless except for jewelry and dental fillings. It is, but a building, is just real, for business, for living. Yeah, I love real estate.
Yes, and you own your real estate also. You've been talking about your building at that corner of the big shopping center.
Yeah, and
for your dental office, it's been there forever, really.
Yeah, and I bought that in '87, and when I tell people what I paid for it in 2015, they think it's they don't even believe me. I mean, it's 30 years later. So what about technology?
Well, one of the things I believe are the dentist should be doing investments, and I wasn't talking about investment in stocks and bonds like what you mentioned. There's specific investments that I think help us as a dentist. So, for example, number one is the real estate. Number two is the technology, things like digital x-rays, the intraoral camera. I know some offices invest in 3D technology. I can't believe I still have assistants who come through my office that they work in offices that still use regular x-rays.
You mean film?
Right, films. Yeah, I would have an assistant come in and she doesn't know how to do the digital x-ray. It takes longer, it's more radiation, and it's not keeping up with technology, because that is one way our patients are viewing us, is how we take care of our offices, whether we have, nice furnitures or we're keeping up with the technology. or we have nice waiting areas for patients, for the kids. It's like they're coming into your house, and you want to take care of them. And one way to take care of the patients is to keep up your house and keep up the equipment in there, all the modern technology.
I think it's I like to call that heuristics, where I'm always talking to the patients, and when they would ever tell me that a office they were afraid of it from infection control and didn't think it was clean and sterile, and then you would talk to them, try to pin them down why it was from the dust on the baseboards, leaning back in the chair and seeing the water stained on the ceiling, the dust on the ceiling
Right, right,
fans. I
right,
mean,
right,
they don't know what an autoclave is. They don't know what a statin investment. So
right,
if you go into the dentist's bathroom and it's not clean, then they think
right,
they're going to catch hepatitis. And I
right,
always thought that the other heuristic with technology is that when they see a digital X-ray and they see a the laser diagnodent, reading the
yes,
surface, they see these little low cost technologies, and then they heuristically say, "Oh, Emily Letran must be a very high tech doctor. She must be very good."
right. Yes, sometimes they come in and the first question is, what other new toy did you get? You know, because when I get something, then I put it in my email, blast it out to the patient so they know, we have this new technology in the office, come in and share the experience with us. Then I put it on Facebook, try getting the words out. And, we have a mixed HMO PPO practice. Sometimes people talk about HMO as being, you don't spend a lot of money because you're trying to keep costs down. For me, it's all about the patient. So I spend the money for the patient because all patients are the same. They are people, and I treat them that way, and they all get the same technology that I invest in the office. So sometimes when I talk to people, they kind of surprised. Oh, you have HMO patients, and you have this and that, and some other investments, and for me, that's the way that I would grow, and that's how I serve people.
Emily, a lot of our listeners, you're talking to thousands of dentists, and a lot of them are young and don't even know the difference in HMO and a PPO. Can you explain how what the difference is between an HMO and a PPO, and why you take them, and how they work for you?
Well, an HMO is a what we call capitation, and so the office get a certain amount of money per head every month, um, and then you are assigned a certain number of patients. And the PPO are the insurances where you sign up and you have a discounted fee. You have a contract with the insurance, and you have a discounted fee. I'm happen to be based in Southern California. There, it's pretty competitive. There are a lot of offices that take HMO. When I took over the office, that was already the setting of it. And as I grow the office, all the segments grow. So for example, we have about 30% HMO and 40% PPO, and the rest are cash and mixed DentiCal. So when it grow, everything grow, but the percentage remained about the same. And I'm comfortable with that because I do have to work a little harder sometime, and I have to watch my margin. But anybody who come in, I present ideal treatment to the patient. It's up to the patient to choose. So to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference as far as how I treat the patient. I just need to watch my bottom line because
So
the margin is smaller.
so just because I still think a lot of kids don't exactly understand the difference between HMO and PPO. So the so the HMO, which you're calling capitation, they pay you a certain amount. Capita is Latin for head, like capital. So
Right.
they pay you a certain amount per month, per head, per capital, per person, capitation.
Yes.
What is the range? Is it multiple different plans, or is it mainly one plan? Is it about the same amount of money per head per person from the HMOs?
No, it actually varies. It actually varies. So even each insurance, for example, Delta Dental has an HMO part to it, and in that HMO part, I don't know, there could be 50, 100 plans, different plans, and each plan has a different fee. So there's a lot more paperwork that you have to look at when you treat an HMO patient because when a patient come in, You don't just check their eligibility, but you have to check their plan, and then for each code, there's a different fee.
So
So it
so
get
so they pay you. What is the range of how much money they give you per month, whether you see them or not?
it depends on how many patients they assign to you. So the reason I was comfortable taking the HMO is, for example, with my first office, when I come in, I know there is a certain amount of income. I think back then it was maybe 5,000 a month, and that amount would pay for my loan. So I took over the office. I know I have the money to pay my loan, so I don't have to worry about that. Then I just have to worry about managing the office and making sure that we're making money. So a lot of offices that take HMO, it only makes sense if there is a volume, so your capitation check take care of a certain expense for you, and that takes some of the worry about.
But when those patients come in with HMO, do they usually have co-payments for fillings, root canals, crowns, extractions?
Yes, they do have co-payments. The co-payments, the way I look at the plans that I take, if it's, the way I do it is if it's like as low as a DentiCal fee, which is fairly low, but that's also another insurance that I take, then I'm comfortable. Because then I consider that similar to the DentiCal
And
patient.
DentiCal is the California state Medicaid plan for dentists.
Yes, yes,
And for the international viewers in the United States, Medicare is a national program for the elderly, old people over 65. And then Medicaid is for low income, poor people, but it's at the state level. So America has 50 different state level Medicaid plans for the poor, and then it has one national system for Social Security and health insurance for the elderly over 65. And of course, the trend is, and I know they'll achieve it with an Obamacare, to just expand one national Medicare over to the entire country, like they have already done in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all of Europe, Scandinavia, but Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore. So that's the long game plan. But so what would you? So then on PPO, so the difference in PPO is they don't give you a monthly fee per person.
correct.
They just give you a discounted fee. And I don't like the term discounted fee as much as I think it's more accurate to say it's a volume discount. I mean, if you buy, the reason Walmart can sell things so low is because if I go and buy one Barbie doll, I'll pay $10. But if Walmart orders a million Barbie dolls, they might only have to pay $5 a piece. So when you sign up for a PPO and they give you 100 patients, the trade is you're getting them a volume discount, and I don't really know what that volume discount is, because if I go back and look at a dental office and I look at their marketing costs per new patients, I mean, 1-800-DENTIST, which I've been a member of since 1987, I pay $100 for a new patient per patient from 1-800-DENTIST. A lot of my new patients from Google Ads, Google AdWords are $100 per patient. Direct mail is costing me $250 for a new patient. Yellow Pages is costing me $500 a new patient, and so I'm trying to think of what other. So if you sign up for a PPO and they give you 100 patients, and you say, okay, well then the fee schedule is going to be a volume discount, then I go back in and add the marketing cost that costs me
Right.
to buy another new patient. A lot of times, lot of times the PPO fee schedule is actually a rocking hot deal. I mean, it's usually a very good deal. And so, what would you say to a dentist? Because a lot of these consultants, they go out there and they just say blanket statements like, "Well, your goal should be to get off all your HMOs and PPOs and go to all cash patients." What would you say to that? I mean, you're a savvy business person. How long have you been practicing dentistry, by the way? From
It's
93 to
22 years, 22 plus years.
yeah, so you got 2 decades in this game, and you're out there in California where it's very saturated. You have 6 dental schools. You have 30,000 dentists in California. California, New York is the jump in point from Europe, which is kind of flat. Um, Miami's the jumping point from Central and South America, which is really exploding. Um, um, but you're California, you're the jumping point from Asia. I mean, the whole world lives in India and Asia, China, Vietnam. So you have lots of immigrants, lots of foreign dentists, 6 dental schools. What would you say to someone who said to you, "Oh, Emily, you should try to get off all your HMOs and try to increase your marketing and just go to fee patients or PPOs"? What do you think of that as a business strategy? Is that realistic, or do you think that's not a good idea?
Well, thank you for asking me that question, Dr. Farran. Actually, a lot of time I do hear that conversation saying, you shouldn't treat HMO patients um, because they don't pay you enough, et cetera, et cetera. To me, first of all, the dentist should have clarity in knowing what he or she wants. Do you want a boutique practice? Do you want a Walmart kind of practice? Do you want to do volume? Do you want to have a clinic? And the way I treat the patients is all the patients are the same. So the ones that are coming from the PPO or the HMO, you don't have to spend the marketing dollar. And the trade-off of that is the percentage of the fee discount, however you want to say it. Once the patient is in the chair, you still present ideal treatment. So a lot of my ideal treatment patients, like 6 veneers in the front, multiple implants, they are all HMO patients. And sometimes I have a PPO patient who come in and they're stuck with, I have $1,500, then that's all my treatment should be based on that $1,500. And they don't want to spend more money to invest in their health. That has been my experience. So I think when the patient is in the chair, you want to work on your referral skills. You encourage the patient to bring in their family and friends. You present the ideal treatment. So if you're looking at the amount of dentistry you diagnose for the patient, there's not a lot of difference except for the very basic one. For example, fillings, simple fillings. But if you're talking about crowns, let's say the HMO fee is low. Let's say it's, $300 for a PFG. Then I explain to them, that's not your only choice. You can do a lava crown, and then that become what we call an optional treatment, and the patient pay closer to UCR. So I think it's viable. I've been doing this for about more than 22 years, and I do ideal treatment in my office. I can't please everybody. Whoever come in and like us and trust us, they will give us their business. So insurance, I think, is only part of the equation. And anybody who want to think about either signing up for a PPO or dropping the PPO, I think they should take a close look at different offices, how different offices model. They should learn from mentors. For example, if you were on Dental Town and reading up on all that kind of discussion, or I'm also in Nomi Waters' dental marketing project group. We have those discussions all the time too. And everybody take a different viewpoint, and you learn how everyone is running their practice. For me, I'm comfortable having the model that I have right now because I've been successful with it. I've got dental real estate with it. I'm raising my 3 kids. I can do a foundation. I go do dental mission trips. I'm pretty happy with what I can do with what I have.
You are amazing. And your dental mission trips, are those to Vietnam?
No, last year I went to Costa Rica for a week. And I brought my 2 teams member and my 3 kids.
And how old are your kids?
I have a 13 years old, a boy, and another boy, 15 years old. He knows everything. And my 19-year-old is at UC Riverside on her 2nd year.
So your daughter's 19 and your boy's 15. And where's the third one?
The third one is 13.
Oh, 13.
Yes.
And so a girl, then 2 boys?
Yes, a girl and 2 boys.
And that is amazing. I want to switch to that. One of my biggest complaints that I always get on the online CE and on the podcast is that it's all men, and if it's a dentist, it's a man, and if it ever is a woman, it's a dental consultant or a hygienist. And I wish you would do an online CE course and do it in with your book. Maybe you could do the deal where they buy your course on Dental Town and you'll send them a copy of your book. But we need more women role models out there, and I'm always telling all the women my age that um, you know basically 99% of the people that email me and say they want to be on the podcast are just all men. And then you go
I
to the
see.
dental schools and they're half women and they want women role models. And I can't think of a more amazing woman role model than you. So I want to go into some women role model questions. Um,
Okay.
I'm Most men don't have to worry about their three kids like a mom does. I don't know if that's
Yes.
sexist or is that true or false? Just that even that statement.
Well, if he has a strong woman behind him, he doesn't have to worry.
The
Y-
women dentists tell me things like if a man wants to just go take some dental continuing education course, he'll just fly off and go do it because his stay home wife will take care of the kids, and they have they have more balls to juggle. And I know that depends on the relationship, but what is it what advice would you give to women dentists who are in dental school that say, I want to own my own business like Dr. Letran, but I also want to start a family. I mean, what should I be thinking about if I want to have three kids like Dr. Letran, but I want to own my own business? How hard is that to juggle? Was your husband a stay home dad? Did he take all this three children off your hands during the day, or how did that work?
No, actually, I get all of them, and I'll tell you a little background. As far as somebody who is new, like a new grad coming out, I want to emphasize on getting clear, getting the clarity and the vision of what you want. So if you want your business first, then you work for a couple of years, you get the experience, so you can learn the business part of it. The clinical part usually will come with time, right? You got trained in school, but dentistry is a lot of practicing to get better. So learn the business part, and you need to know what you want. So, for example, when I was working, when I got out of dental school, I was working in three different offices. I'm trying to learn all the different ways to run business. And once I bought my practice, that was kind of the first priority. I got to get this thing running. And then when I became pregnant with my first child,
What year did you get pregnant? You got out of school in '93. What year did you get pregnant with your daughter?
I have Jennifer in 1996.
96. So
Yeah,
it was 3 years out of school.
yeah,
And that's what
yeah,
I waited. I graduated when I was 24, and I waited till I was
yes,
27 to have
yes,
Eric.
yes. And so when I have the child, I make arrangement for babysitting. My husband is an engineer, and he takes off in the morning because of the traffic situation in California. So if he starts the day, he takes off at 6, and then he come back home at 6 or 7. So I get up early. I take my child to the babysitter. Then I go to work, and then when I come back, get out of work, either he will pick up the child or I will, and then I go home and cook dinner, and we have our family time. Same thing repeated when I have the next two boys. The only time I'm out of the office is the 30 days. Actually, I usually take 1 month after pregnancy to stay home with the child, and then I take them to the babysitter. Um, I'm one of those people that I go volunteer at school because I believe it's very important for your kids to see you at school. Um, I go to all their functions. At one point, when they were younger, I take them to work with me. I go pick them up from school. They come to work. They go sit in the kitchen or in the little doctor's office. They do their homework. Um, a lot of the patients know my children. My daughter Jennifer, she hates it when she comes to the office, and everybody's telling her, "Oh, I remember you when you were about this high." And now she's 19, but it's because she's been coming to the office, and so I think that's because I made the choice, because I'm clear in what I want. I want to have my family, and I want to have the practice. I have friends who, when they were pregnant, they decided to sell their practice, and then they decide to stay at home for a while, and then now they getting back to the either getting back to the job market or now trying to buy another practice. And I raised three kids, and I think all of them are good. When I went on the dental mission trip, my kids, I think I was yelling at them for something, and they told me, "You know what, Mom? All the people who we're working with, they're willing to adopt us." So, and so I'm very proud of that. I think I raised them the right way. And one of the reason I'm actually starting a coaching program called Exceptional Leverage. And the reason for the name is you just have to leverage everything. So, for example, when you're in the office, you leverage the staff, time, and effort. You delegate things so they can do things for you, so you don't have to do everything. Um, Difficult cases, I bring in specialists to my office so they can take care of all that. So the patient don't have to go anywhere, and I can just concentrate on doing what I like and what I'm really strong at. So again, leveraging that, I go to business conferences. I learn from mentors like you. Right now, I'm coaching with Sharon Lechter. So I'm leveraging on the people who have already paved the way. I leverage on their knowledge, so I can learn faster, and I can shortcut that path to success. And just like you say, there's not a lot of women leaders or however you want to call them. I go to these mastermind groups, and I'm the only woman, and I get
Exactly.
really frustrated, And I talk to some other female dentists, and they say they're too busy, and sometimes they have fewer kids than me, and they have a smaller office than me. But I don't think they make the decision to commit to having a big life where they can have their practice and they can have their family. Um, my kids are very happy that I'm always in their life. I go to all of their the performances. When it's time to go check out school, I'm the one driving them around. My husband, he works from Monday through Friday, so I basically run the whole show with the kids and the practice. And I think I'm able to do that because I leverage, and I made a decision that I'm going to commit to that, and I don't give up.
So you have someone come in and place your implants. Is that an oral surgeon, a periodontist, or an implantologist? How does that work?
The periodontist right now, the periodontist is placing the implant. At some point, a previous oral surgeon also placed the implant.
Now there is a big. What is the big implant chain where they do the all on four? Is that um, they have them out there in California? But anyway, what is the going pay for something like that? What do you have to pay them of the procedure? Is it a percentage? Is it like 30%, 40%, 50%? How does that usually work?
Well, for my particular practice, with the periodontist, he placed the implant, and the fee is 1,800, and
He is it he or she?
it's a he.
He charges 1,800 to place the implant.
Well, that's the fee that the patient pay,
Oh, okay.
and so my arrangement with him is I pay him $1,000, and I provide all the material.
So you pay him 1,000, but you buy the parts and the pieces and the fixtures.
Oh, no. He brings the well, I should backtrack. Um, he I pay for the abutment. He pay for the implant itself. So
So he
he plays the implant. He does the surgery. He gets $1,000 flat. I've had other periodontists that have come through the office, and we work on a percentage, like 45 to 50%.
45 to 50,
Yes.
and that's a that's a very I love the way your business mind thinks because people who go out and learn how to place implants, by the time you figure how much they've paid for the surgical kit, the training, flying to different cities, the hands-on. I mean, they a lot. I think a lot of dentists have $30,000 to $50,000 invested before they place their first implant. So then to sit there and say, I'm not going to spend 30 to 50,000 learning how to do this. I'm just gonna pay someone. I'm just gonna split it with someone, then have them come in and pay. We'll split it 50-50, and that's what you've done.
Right, because I don't think you can be an expert in everything.
Oh, you can't. There's no
Right.
way.
Yes, and I think there are a lot of dentists out there. Some of them, my friends, who want to do everything. They want to do retreat, molar, endo, which is great if you're really good at it. But if it's going to take you a couple of visits and you're going to struggle, I don't see the point. Just leverage that, bring somebody in to do that, or refer the patient out. It really is for the patient, so you don't want to be practicing your skill on the patient per se. Let an expert, let a specialist serve your patients so they get the best care. And that's one of the things also I try to, when I mentor my associates, I tell them try to learn as fast as you can where your limit is, because I don't want you to go in there and try to take out a tooth and then break the tooth, and then 2 weeks later you're going to repeat that on another patient. So you need to learn your limits, and either you go get more training, but you have to practice more to practice at that higher level, or just don't do the case.
What other specialists do you bring in?
I have a periodontist, a neurosurgeon, and an orthodontist. So
Wow.
I have three.
And how often do they come in?
The two surgeons, they come in once a month. The orthodontists come in twice a month.
And so I'm going to get a state of the industry in California. So again, California, you swim across that pond and you're in, China, Asia, two-fifths of all the people on planet. So you have lots of immigration of dentists. You got 6 dental schools. Going back to when you walked out of school in 93, 22 years ago to today, is the dental economy about the same, or do you think it's gotten a lot more competitive? How would you describe the changes in the competition? How hard it is to make a living, or how easy it is? What's changed in 22 years?
Well, there's definitely more competition. I In the little town where I'm at in Monrovia, it's not as big. I think we used to have 7 dentists there with about 35, 40,000 when we started out. Now I think we have 11, but two of them are big corporations. One is Pacific Dental and one is West Coast Dental. So West Coast Dental is more, on the west end. And so what you do as a private practitioner is you're competing with those places where they really just try to get the business by cutting prices, cutting the fees. I used to work for West Coast Dental. One of my first 3 years, I worked there for about 2 months trying to learn the business. And you don't see a lot of returning patients, because when the patient come in, they try to do as much as they can, and whether or not it works out in the long term, it doesn't matter, because by the time the next patient come in, you probably have another associate, in those big corporations. And so I think it really come down to the dentist himself or herself, how you treat your patient, how you take care of your patient. That's how you compete with those places. You have your own way of competing. You're not going to compete on their terms. Their terms is on price. My term is more on patient appreciation. So, for example, I have a movie night for my patients. I rent out a theater, and I invite my patients to come. One year, I got talked into dress up as Iron Man because we were watching Iron Man. I have patient appreciation events. I invite my patients, the one that invest a lot in the office. I invite them to dinner, and we just show up and we just talk. We've done it at Mexican restaurant. We've done it at Dave and Buster's, where they can go and play games. We've done it at bowling alleys. And on Valentine's Day, we have cookies and cupcakes, and we send out an email inviting people to just come by and say hi. And we have raffles so they can pick out a gift. You know, it could be a whining kid, it could be one of my books. Um, all of those things. That's how I compete with those places. That's my term. I'm not going to go out and try to, you know, do free exams so everybody can come in. I'm not going to cut my fees. I already have a very diverse fee because of the HMO, but I don't compete on those terms. And I think anybody who's in California need to figure out a way on how they differentiate themselves and, you know, stay in their own bubble, treat their own patients, work on referrals so other, you know, the patient base will refer more patients to you, and kind of ignore all the other competitions from all the corporations.
So going back 22 years ago to 1993 to now, how extensive was corporate dentistry in 1993 versus in 2015?
Well, I think back then the main one was Western Dental. And then through the years, I believe they got bought by Newport Dental. So some of their offices, some of the big, because you know how Western Dental always own, they have their own building. It's always in the best location, kind of like a McDonald
Did they
location.
own their buildings or did they rent them?
I don't know if they own the building. I just know that they usually have the best real estate as
Right,
far as
right.
exposure. And I know some of their big offices got sold to Newport Dental. Um, and right now in California, um, Coast Dental started moving in. I believe Coast Dental is more from the East Coast. So
Florida. Yeah,
they
they started in
yes,
Florida.
yeah. So they opened some offices there where, you know, in Southern California. That's where I'm at, so that's where I can speak about. Pacific Dental is very big, um, kind of the same model as Western Dental. I have friends who work there, and it basically they push for production, from how I understand it. You know, put a bridge on number 1 to 6 or something like that, and you know they put a bridge in, and how long it lasts, it doesn't really matter because by the time the patient come back, the doctor may not be there. And again, I think it all has to do with the doctor's ethics and training, and if you think you're doing the right thing for the patient or not. But that's the stories that I hear from the corporate dental world.
So you've been on the planet a long time, and you've been doing dentistry 22 years. What percent would you say of just humans in general in California, the planet Earth? No, well, no. Let's stick to Monrovia. How many people live in Monrovia?
Well, the last time I checked, which was several years ago, probably about 40,000.
Okay,
So it's probably gone up now.
so when you're looking at a market of 40,000, what percent of the people of Monrovia, California today would simply only want to buy dentistry on price, like a commodity, like a bushel of corn or a gallon of gas, versus um, a differentiated product based on I trust Dr. Emily Letran. I want her to be my doctor. I don't want to go to a corporate chain where it's a different dentist every time. I trust you. So percentage wise, the reality of life, you know, elderly, poor, rich, middle class, high educated, low educated, but just of the 40,000 people, where would you divide the market today in Monrovia? What percent would pay who just want just price, wham, bam, whatever, and the other half, no, I want to pay extra value added. I want Dr. Letron only to treat me.
Well, I would estimate maybe around 30% of people will choose the dentist or choose a product by price. And part of the reason is I think the insurance companies do an excellent job, you know, selling the insurance, whether it's HMO or, you know, the discounted fees. There's also some smaller companies that they have their little small HMO, and so they're just selling it to a very small community base, and they thrive on the membership of those people paying the fee to you. So because they do a very good job explaining that to the patient, that the patient think they have a good plan and they don't have to pay a lot. A lot of people will look at it from that perspective first. So they call your office and they say, do you take, you know, whatever plan it is under the HMO? And it is up to the dental office to explain to the patients the comprehensive treatment plan, have them come in so they can have that chance where we chat with them, we check out their teeth, and we present the ideal treatment plan to them. Once you do that and they understand that is in the best interest of their health, they don't decide on price anymore. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of my patients that do big treatment, they are the HMO, and the HMO are you can think of them sort of as a price shopper kind of patient, but sometimes they have the HMO because of where they work. It has nothing to do with their lifestyle, what they want to do, but they work in company A, and company A only has that particular choice. So I think a lot of people look at the price because, big corporations or certain doctors may advertise just based on price. I'm sure you've seen the big billboards. We have one close to where I live, implants for $3.99. And the patient would come in and ask me, why would I pay you $1,800 and I don't go there and pay $3.99? And I explained to them, I have the periodontist. He's trained at USC. He's placed a lot of implants. He has a lot of experience. You've been my patient for so many years. You've just lost your first, adult tooth or whatever. And now you need an implant. You already know us, the service, the way we treat you. If you like to go over there and check them out, certainly do that. But I tell them, because I've heard stories from those places also. I say, just check out all the stories first before you make that decision to go over there. And every week I have people who come in and said, I want you to double check this because I went to so and so, and I just want to know what your opinion is. And I always ask them, well, why did you even go over there? Oh, they sent a flyer and it's $19.99 for a cleaning checkup, so I decided to try them out. At the same time, I have patients who, come in to check me out, right? Because I may have sent out a postcard, and they come in just to see how I am, and then they stay.
So you're negative. Some words are negative and some are scientific. Like a religious person will say you're being selfish, whereas an economist will say, well, that person's following their own self-interest. A negative person will say that business is bait and switch. And then an economist would say, well, this person's very great at upselling. And I see that a lot of these $3.99 implants, and that just means a little mini implant. And then the patient gets in there for the $3.99, and then they upsell to, well, you want a root form, or you might want 2 root forms and a hater bar or casings. Dentures clinics do it all the time. They advertise a $3.99 denture, and then you get there and they show you 4 dentures, and the $3.99 one looks like you wouldn't give it to your hamster. And then and then they have the upsell with the then. And what's amazing with the upselling is that usually humans don't want the cheapest or the most expensive, and a lot of back I noticed when when I was little and got out of school, usually the middle was what everybody would get, but it was just a middle. Now I see a lot of people putting 2 middles in there, so they'll say, okay, well, here's the low cost denture for $3.99. Here's the full 8 implants lower, 8 implants upper, and 2 12-unit bridges for $50. And then they have like an all-on 4 that might be $30, and then like a 4 denture, 4 implants and a removable denture. But they'll 4 price points. But I think what I hear several times in your talking to you is that through your confidence, your communication, your building of trust, that people will come in for a low price HMO or PPO, but you're able to upsell them to higher quality dentistry. And I think that's amazing. But you're basically saying about 30% probably just buy on price, but you're able to upsell 70% into getting more ideal dentistry.
Well, upsell is one word that describe how you present a treatment. For me, I always give them all the options. So, for example, if you have 19 missing, let's say 19 and 30, the best choice would be to place 2 implants, or you can do 2 bridges where you have to shave down, both of the abutments, or you can do a partial denture. And I give them all those choices. And I think if you give the patients all the facts and what the quality of life would be if they choose, let's say, 2 implants versus a partial denture, um, once they understand that, they can make a decision based on what they want to pay for that. Now, there are always patients that they may not be financially ready, so they'll go with the lowest cost alternative. But I have already planted the seed that the best way is the implant. And a lot of time, those patients will come back and do the more ideal treatment.
And Emily, what are your thoughts on an associate? Do you have an associate? I mean,
Yes,
you bring in specialists, but you do have an associate too.
yes, I do have associate doctors. Yes.
How many associates do you have?
Right now, I have three. So between the two offices, we just have one doctor working per day. So it's not all four of us in at the same time. And so when, for example, if one associate is in one office, I'm in the other one. So both offices can run at the same time. Occasionally, when I have a real young associate, I will come in to quote babysit and try to help that doctor learn the business part of the business and the clinical part. Tips on how to cut down your time in prepping a crown. How to run 3 chairs at the same time, how not to get all freaked out if you're backed up because there's an emergency walk in. And I love to have associates, and again, that go back to my belief of leveraging the time, other people's time, money, and effort. Because I'm only one person, but if I want to grow, I need a team. Whether it's the dentist or the assistant or the front desk staff or the CPA or a mentor, all of that, I consider that leverage.
So, Emily, would you ever consider these associates selling them a percentage and having a partner, or would you not like giving up the control?
At this point, I don't think I would want to give up the control. I think for me, from what I see with my friends, partnership is difficult because you have to have the exact same philosophy about your values and what you want to do. Secondly, is when I was younger, um, absolutely you got to be very similar in your lifestyle. Meaning, if I have 3 kids and I'm partnering with you and you don't have any kids, I may be the one calling in because my kid is sick or I got to go to this function and you don't have those same quote excuses. So sometimes people don't get along in the partnership because of that, because they're not similar. If we both have children and we both agree that we're going to spend time with our family, we may change our office hours to accommodate the family, anything like that. If you're similar, it's just easier to work with.
Yeah, a dentist partnership is just exactly the same thing as marriage, except you don't have
Right.
any sex or children or holidays or vacations. So good luck with that.
Okay.
Um, so then, do you ever see a day to where you will go to full leverage and just be a business owner and not do clinical dentistry, like Rick Workman of Heartland Dental hasn't seen a patient in 20 years. Rick Kirschner of Comfort Dental hasn't seen a patient in 20 years. Steve Thorne of Pacific Dental Services, his dad's a dentist, and he said, hell, why go to school for 8 years and be a dentist? I can hire one in 5 minutes. He never even went to dental school, and he has 500 offices. Do you think Emily will ever make the transition to just pure leverage, and just work out off of your mind and cell phone and meetings?
Um, I don't think that will ever happen. I think at least I would have to work one day. Um, I love the connection with my patients. The dentistry part, on certain days, it can get challenging. If you got a difficult case, it can get challenging. But what I really value about this profession is the connection and the relationship with the patient. And I'll tell you 2 quick stories. I have a lady come in and she's sitting there and she said, "Do you remember me?" And she was in the waiting room and I said, "I'm sorry, I don't remember." And she started telling me about her mom. And it's an older lady several years back, have a well, she called it the snaggle tooth. So it's kind of turned, it's kind of crooked, but it's number, I think it was number 9. So I told her, let's do Invisalign, just straighten out the front teeth, and then I can put a veneer or a cap on that tooth, and you would look fine. So she told me that her mom, they had moved out of state, and her mom got a stroke. It couldn't really talk very well, but she's super excited about her smile because Dr. Emily fixed her snaggle tooth, and that was several years back. And this is the daughter, who is a all-grown lady in her 50s, telling me about her mom. The other story is I have an older patient. I think she was in her 80s. She always come in fully made up. She does all that just to go to the dental appointment. And I remember one day I told her, can I take a picture of you? Because you always look great. She has red hair. And she was sitting in the front, and all of a sudden she told me, wait. And then she put her hand under her chin, like a model. And I noticed it's because she was sitting next to the Invisalign poster that they have that model. So she wanted to look like that model. She did the same pose. And I took the picture, developed it, mailed it to her. Several years later, somebody called and they say, well, the so-and-so want to talk to you. And he said that I am the son of Mrs. So-and-so, and I'm just calling to let you know my mom passed away. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And he said, actually the real reason I call you is because we were going through her things. And she has a list of favorite things and people. And Dr. Emily was on there.
Ah, that is so sweet. You are adorable. I love you so much, Emily, and I need you. I want you to be a role model. Half the dental school classes are women, and they don't want to see a bunch of
Yes.
old, fat, bald guys as mentors. They need to see women who came out of those schools 2 decades ago and blazed amazing trails like you. So I hope that you build an online CE course on Dentaltown. I hope you package it with your book. I think that would be a great thing, because if I was going to point a little girl in dental school and say, when you grow up, you need to be just like this role model, I would say I wanted to be just like Emily Letran.
Well, thank you for saying that. You're so sweet. You're so generous. I like to extend a gift to the listeners of your program. I have a webpage called Exceptional Leverage. If they want to go to www.exceptionalleverage.com/ebook, there is an ebook version of the book that I had sent to you, the book Commit. And
From Refugee to Renaissance Woman?
no, this is the one that is the ebook version of the newest book that is coming out, Commit.
Commit.
Commit, yes. So it's www.exceptionalleverage.com/ebook and get an e-version of that book. It tells about my story. It tells about my struggle. And it gives advice for, young professionals to make sure that they have the clarity, the dedication, and the commitment to run their office, have a wonderful family, have a big life.
I'm on the website now. That's and you have 5 secrets to growing your business. You have a lot of books, right?
Yes, I have a couple of books.
Well, and also Emily, Dentaltown, we've had half a dozen programmers since 1998, and one of the next features so we have the website, and then we came with the app on the iPhone, and 40,000 dentists have downloaded the app. So like when we do this podcast, a lot of them, see it on the podcast section on the app. But the next section is ebooks, books. So when we, I think that section's due first quarter, in 2 or 3 months, and I can't think of a greater honor that when we come out with the ebook section, you might consider putting your book on the Dentaltown app.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think we're going to try to do it. I think we're looking at 3 models. So you can do an audiobook, because that's the most popular, because the reason podcasts are crushing radio is because they're multitasking. They're basically commuting to work for an hour, like your husband. Your husband
Yes.
has an hour commute each way, and they're tired of radio, and they're listening to his podcasts. And I think The audiobooks are just amazing. I notice all my dentist friends, it'll be a book, and it'll take 6 to 8 hours to listen to the book, and they just don't have the time to do it.
Right.
But in 1 week of commuting to work, they'll go through a whole book. And so, hey, Emily, we're out of time. We're 5 minutes over time, but thank you for all that you do. Thank you. You're just an amazing person. You're my idol, mentor, and role model. Thank you for all you do, and I can't wait to see you again someday.
Thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast, Dr. Farran. You're my great role model. You don't know, but I follow what you say. I read what you write, and I think you're great because you telling people the story like it is. That dentistry is not a hobby. You don't just go and practice and just enjoy it. There's a business side to it, and you have to work at it, just like you spend 4 years working your skills up in at the dental school. And just because I know you have DentiCal all over the world, and you create also the Spanish, right? The Spanish part of it. The book about my story from Refugee to Renaissance Woman, it's on Amazon. I translated it into Spanish
Oh, you're amazing.
because I
Oh,
want I want to share the story with a lot of people, and if it just gets somebody pumped up and go through the day, that's the least thing that I can do.
you know what's amazing? Back to English. So the United States is a third of a billion. It's 330 million. But North
Yes.
and South America combined is a billion. Just like Africa's a billion, India's a billion two, China's a billion three. But there will be more speaking people than English speaking people on
Right.
this very soon. All right, we got to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.